Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming out this morning. We'll open it right up for questions.
PJ, when you looked at the offense from a game plan and play calling standpoint, what did you see and what would you like to improve on there?
Well, I think we scored more than 30 points in 6 games, and when you look at out of 3 Big Ten games right in a row, that was 30-plus points. So, I mean, we didn't have a very good day. I thought we moved the ball well at times, and then we got stuck, whether it was a holding penalty, whether we missed a field goal, we didn't get a 4th-and-1 drive. Threw an interception that was tipped. I mean, threw another one late in the game. You only have so many possessions, when you have 2 very similar teams who run the football like that. The game's going to be a lot shorter. You have limited possession, so every possession counts. We just didn't play our best football when you look at it. So when you go back and watch the film, I mean, we didn't have a lot of explosive plays, but we didn't allow ourselves to have those explosive plays. We didn't make some plays in the pass game, didn't protect very well. We had a ton of sacks. And, I mean, it falls on everybody. It falls on me as a head coach, the coaches, the players, and everybody else, everybody inside the organization. And we have 2 really good tailbacks, but they're still freshmen. And there's a lot of pass pro stuff, and people get paid on the other side, too, to confuse them as well and show you some things maybe they haven't shown before. So, but again, we put ourselves in a position to be in a little more drop back than maybe we wanted to be, but that started the game out early with the tipped interception, and then they score, and then, we stall, and then, they score again, and, we miss a field goal, and then you go for it on 4th-and-1 and don't get it, right? And you can go on and on. But, if we execute those things, I mean, we're going to score enough points. We just don't do it.
When you watch the tape back, what were the issues you saw up front with the offensive line?
Well, I thought especially early. I thought when you looked at both sides of the ball, I mean, they're really talented. I said this at the beginning of the even of the week. I said they're way better than what people give them credit for. They're a really good football team defensively. Not a lot of people who scored a lot of points over the last 4 or 5 games playing against them. They were originally a 4-3, switched to a 34, kind of midway through the year with some personnel things that they had, and again gave them a lot of defensive linemen on the field that could really play. But again, I thought, when you're having 2 physical teams going at each other, I mean, I think at the beginning we just got out physical, and that was, this kind of the story of the first half, especially, and that's not necessarily who and what we are, and like I said, we didn't play well, and that falls on the head coach. We didn't play well. I never questioned our team's heart and spirit and want to and how hard they played. I didn't see that when I watched the film. I just saw when you're having 2 really good teams go against each other, something tips and something goes one way or another, and I thought they had that, especially in the first half.
Your average depth of target was high against Illinois. Do you feel like that puts some extra pressure on the offensive line, especially considering the looks they gave you?
Say that again, sorry?
Your average depth of target was high against Illinois. Do you feel like that puts some extra pressure on the offensive line?
Well, we've got to be able to do whatever we call in the offense, whether it's throw the ball down the field, whether it's going through pure progressions with an option, going through the RPO game, or just running the football in general. I mean, we have to be able to execute those things. But again, it's not just the offensive line. Tight ends are involved in that. Running backs are involved in the pass pro. But we put ourselves in a bad position being down 14-0 very quickly. And, we got ourselves in a bad position and couldn't get ourselves out.
How's Chris Ottman-Bell looking for this week?
He looks good. He looks good. Yeah, I mean, that's unfortunate. You have 5 tailbacks out, which is, I think, well documented, right? And the goodness that we have 7 scholarship tailbacks, or at least had 7 scholarship tailbacks, because now we still have 2. And if it was an NFL roster, I mean, we'd be on the street. Most teams carry about 5.5, on average, scholarship tailbacks, and then you have your best receiver kind of in and out all year. I think one of the biggest things that have been consistent this year is just it's been inconsistent. One of the biggest consistencies is it's been inconsistent, whether the wide receivers or the running backs, and that's a challenge. But again, we're sitting 6-3, right? And we're still everybody in the West right now towards that top. Those top 4 teams control their own destiny. I mean, we talked about being in November and being in the hunt for a championship, and here we are with 19 days left. I mean, that's what we said, that every year we want to be in that type of hunt. And with all the challenges we've had and all the playmakers out, we're in that hunt. I think what says a lot about the fight of this football team. Now, whoever wins the West, a lot of things are going to have to go their way. Any team that pulls this thing out, because it's so tight. We got to take one game at a time, And we have a big rivalry game coming up in Iowa City with a very good Iowa team that's playing incredible defense, and offense is playing a lot better. And they just don't beat themselves. That's what they've always done. They're a very good football team.
Just following up on Dave, you said Crab looks good. Does that mean he's expected to play, or how would you rate that?
Yeah, I would expect to. Well, I can't really even say that. I'm not the doctor, so I don't know if I officially want to go out there and say that. But I would expect that he would play from right now. I would expect that he would play from what I've heard today.
PJ, when you were looking at Jack Gibbons, his tape in the portal, how long did you have to look at that and study him before you felt comfortable offering him a scholarship, knowing the FCS is a whole different level than the Big Ten?
Yeah, it didn't take long to figure out he's a really good football player, right? But I think you keep watching the film, you want to be able to have it translate over into Big Ten football, and you don't really get live evaluations because it's not a true recruiting process, so you can't just sit there and go and watch them live. So you really got to trust the tape. I thought Marcus Hendrickson, our director of recruiting, did a tremendous job of evaluating him and bringing him to our coaches. Our coaches did a good job evaluating him. You could see he was a tremendous football player. The biggest question we had was you didn't get a live evaluation and you don't get a stopwatch with speed. But he was so instinctual that he made up for that. Whatever he was, we were willing to say, okay, whatever his speed is, it's football speed. And it didn't take long to figure that out very much. And we're really glad we have him. He's a really good football player. And I think a lot of teams across the country had the same questions we did, especially down in the state where he was. I think there was a lot of people that were suitors for him, but just didn't have all the questions answered. But sometimes you got to be able to take that chance and know that, trust your eyes on what you see on film and know that you're getting a really good football player. Forget the speed part. You're a really good football player. And he can run. It's not like he can't run. He can run.
How much does the leadership of Gibbons and Mariano just spark everything for you guys?
Well, I think it brings, with the lack of consistency we've had on offense with personnel, I think it allows our defense to be really consistent, right, in the calls and having those two in pretty much every game besides one with Mariano being out. But I think it brings this leadership style to our defense, this consistency, knowing exactly what we're going to get, getting us in the right calls, making sure everybody's where they need to be. There's a comfort to that, and directly opposite on offense, what's happened with all of our skill positions this year. And again, we're a team. It's not offense versus defense versus special teams. This whole thing works together. Talk about playing complementary football, and you have to be able to do that. Know your roster, and every game presents itself completely different than the game before. And everybody plays you a little bit different than everybody played you the week before, or they're going to play you the week after. So, each week, the game plan, you have the game plan going into it. Game plan change. It seems like every game our game plan is we've gone into it and then it's changed based on injury or somebody getting hurt, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But the two guys there on defense have brought that consistency and that comfort to the defense, I think.
PJ, when you look at their takeaways, how critical will it be to be even in the turnover margins?
I think that's the name of the game. You have to win the turnover battle here. You have to. In a rivalry game especially, but anytime you play Iowa, when you watch them play defense, all 11 guys, somehow, some way, their eyes are on the football. And you don't see that very much from teams. I mean, they do what they do. They've done what they've done forever on defense, and they're very good at what they do. Everybody knows their role. They got really smart players, and they all keep their eyes on the quarterback. So everybody can make a play. Everybody can make a play, from the nose guard to the three technique to the ends to the linebackers to the secondary. Everybody has a chance to be able to make a play and make a huge impact on the game, and they're very good at what they do.
What do you remember about your last trip there?
We didn't win.
With how stout Iowa is up front, especially in the run defense, how important is it for this passing offense to have a great week of practice this week?
I think it's incredible. I think just our whole offense together. Everybody was, the entire team was disappointed, especially the offense of how they played. That's the thing. Nobody wants to play like that. Nobody wants to. We did so many things that were uncharacteristic of us. The tipped interception in the first drive, we're moving the ball really well, right? And then also we miss a field goal, and then we don't get a 4th and 1. Those are 3 possessions right there, right? 3 possessions in what, you get 8, 9 possessions in a game like that, and there's 3 that you've kind of thrown away. And then you have 2 holds really on 2 other drives. That's 5 of the 8 or 9. It's hard to come back from things like that when you're down. And, nobody wanted to play like that. Our kids are fighting, scratching, and clawing for everything that they get, and they have all year, despite the challenges they've had. So I'm proud of them to this point, but now we got to find a way to change our best and be better this week than we were last week, and I know that'll be their focus.
You had a couple of holding calls that stopped drives. Execution, or just getting beat, or what was the situation?
Here's the thing, they're really aggressive plays. As a head coach, you never want to see those things, but you can live with some of those because they're really, really aggressive plays. They're not blatant, throw your arm out, pull back, so I'm getting just my tail whipped. There are definitely holds, and I can see why they were called. They're appropriate holds, appropriate calls. And sometimes you're going to have some of those. You don't want them. They just came at really, really bad times for us. And I've never seen a hold come at a good time. Like, oh, good. Hey, we got a good hold call right there. We'll take it. But it was really just tough positions that we put ourselves in. And again, just uncharacteristic of some of the things we do on offense. Where this year, with all the inconsistency, there's been a lot of consistency of how we've adapted to the personnel that we've had on the field. So, again, it's college football. It's a challenge. Every single week it's a challenge. Everybody has challenges. So, and you look at the Big Ten right now. I mean, that's what's great about college football. I told you all this before. Jim Tressel always said, what do you love about college football? He goes, you just never know what you're going to get. And he is so right. There hasn't been one year I haven't coached, or at least been a head coach, that you just don't know what you're going to get. That's rang true.
None of the players have ever touched the pig, I guess. What do you think a win would mean to them, to the program?
Well, we have a lot of respect for the rivalry. We have a lot of respect for Iowa. They have a tremendous coaching staff. They've got really good personnel. They've got great tradition. And rivalries are what makes college football really special. And, all records get thrown out the window, depending on what race is going on. I mean, like I said, there's 4 teams in the top of the West that can all win it, and they all kind of control their own destiny, as the old slogan goes. But, rivalry games are really important. And you come here, you get to play in an enormous amount of them, which is really fun and exciting for college football. But obviously, it's a one-game championship season with a rivalry trophy on the line. And, those are the games you really want to, those are the fun games. Every game's fun, but it's really fun to coach in games like that. And I know it'd mean a lot to our players just as much as it's going to mean to Iowa. That's what it comes down to, one-game championship seasons, and this is the next step for us.
What was the response from your players yesterday?
I thought it was really businesslike. I mean, they understand. Here's the one thing about this team is they understand. They have no problem with you being very authentic, transparent, and real by showing them why. One thing we've always done in this program is show players why we win, why we lose, why we played well, why we didn't play well, right? There's always the question, the answer to every question they have, why, gets answered. And we're very transparent as coaches to that. This isn't about, just painting a picture just so they think a certain way. It's exactly why, and showing them how that can get done. So I thought they had a great attitude walking in the building. I thought we had tremendous meetings last night. So they came with the right mindset, and they understand, and they know. They know when they play really well. They know when they didn't play particularly well, and, why the outcome was the outcome. And we talk about the outcome every single Sunday, and we learn from it and move on. And doing the same thing here. We squeezed all the juice from that orange and got as much as we could out of it yesterday, and onward.
When you look at the kicking situation, how does that improve here in the final few games of the year?
Yeah, well, first of all, I believe in Matthew. I wouldn't put him in there if I didn't believe in him. I evaluate everything based on practice and games and a whole off season, right? And he's had a phenomenal off season, and he's made some big kicks for us. I think we put him in, he's 10 of 17 on the year, but I think it's 5 or 6 of those are outside of 40. I think 3 of those are outside of 50. And again, as your first year with him, being able to see what he can do in a game and how hard can you push him and how far can you push him. But again, he's made some big kicks. I believe in him, and I know he's going to continue to get better and learn from the things that he hasn't done well, and also learn from the things he has done well. And I wouldn't expect anything less from him.
1 or 2 more for Coach? Or if everyone's all set, we can be done too. Andy, do you have one?
No way.
PJ, what with Iowa's running defense, how do you kind of try to make ground against them?
Yeah, 1 yard at a time. 1 yard at a time. They're very good. I can't say enough good things about what Kirk Ferentz has done at Iowa, and he's a legendary coach, and You know, I mean, they've built their entire program, really, with all due respect, right? They have really good players, but with the front seven on defense and then the offensive line on the offensive side ball. And they got good players elsewhere, so I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying they built a program based on that. And that's what you need to be able to win in the Big Ten. And they've had that consistent for a very long time. And, you know, we hope to be able to continue to build our tradition that way as we keep moving forward with the guys we have up front. But you're just going to have to be able to find ways. And, I mean, this is going to be a good old-fashioned, you know, put your hand in the ground and get after it and get dirty. And both teams want to be able to run the football, you know. And we've got to find ways to be able to do that. They're going to want to find ways to be able to do that as well. And this is what rivalry games are all about.
PJ, to go back to their takeaways and how many they get, and I know that's going to be an emphasis. How do you guard against if you're offensive? You still have to be aggressive. You still have to take some chances and not playing, you know, scared to make a mistake or scared to, you know, create a turnover. That you still have to take those chances and be aggressive.
Well, I think, you know, this isn't something new for us. You know that, Chip. You know, we talk about 78%, right? The ball, tackling, and explosive plays. Those are the three things that we study and do everything around to make sure that we find the best chance and give our players the best chance to go win games. So the game plan, practice is all designed around those three things. But absolutely, you can never play afraid. You can never play scared. You can never do that. I mean, you can't just be afraid to let the ball go. But you can have a certain urgency with the ball and a certain mindset with the ball, which, again, trained behavior becomes boring habits. Boring habits become elite instincts one way or another. But we hope that, you know, we've instilled in them that the ball is the program. It's everywhere in our building. So it's not just this one game in Iowa's defense. It's something that we truly believe in, and they've seen how we lose games and how we win games. I mean, you look at the turnover margin last week, and we were 0-2. We lost the game. That's how you lose a game. So it's not about just, getting all tight because, you can't turn the ball over. You got to play the game with the respect with the football. And one, create a game plan that gives you the best opportunity to win, and then two, getting the players to believe in the ball just as much as, the program believes in it, which I know our players do and always have. And sometimes you can get away with it when you lose a turnover battle, and sometimes you don't. And you just continue to show them and educate them that. On that.
Thank you, everyone.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. Row the boat, Sky Mile, go Gophers. Thank you.